Hey guys, Gary over at Stripwell. Just wanted to go over a question we've kind of addressed in other videos, but it's just phrased a little bit differently for this one, and that is how to avoid, how to avoid the common problems with QCS. So I wanted to go over a few of the big ones and try to help you as best I can today. So the first problem we find is actually just in the application. It's the question of how to get this to spray right. Now, we get these sprayers, and sometimes they can be faulty. Most of the time they're not, but sometimes there is just a scenario where you get a bad sprayer, so you may have trouble for that reason. But most of the time we just see people struggling with getting it to mist right, and that's just, we made a video on this, but that's just adjusting this tip, and that'll get you to get a good mist. That's one common problem that you will run into, is just the application. Again, you can apply it in different ways, also brush, sponges, things like that. We've addressed that in other videos, so go check those out. But then you get into the common problems of removal, and usually that has to do with, the big one is using it on an appropriate project. We find that QCS works on 60 to 70% of the common finishes that you'll face, mostly on the vintage and antique end of things, so pre-1960s is ideal. After that, it's hit or miss. Some modern finishes, they still used, similar to what was vintage, so you'll get those off, but then they started to make them stronger because our lifestyles changed and we demanded that finishes held up better to the wear and tear of our kind of new style of living. So things got tougher and tougher, and they made them sort of bomb-proof. So that makes it difficult to remove. If that's for any stripping agent. So QCS will struggle on those more modern finishes. Also paints, there's so many different types of paint. So when you see someone have success stripping paint and then you get it and you have a problem, it could be the type of paint that you're trying to remove is different. What you might be removing is not even paint, it's just a pigmented catalyzed finish. And so you think, oh, I'm taking paint off, but it's actually not paint, it's something totally different. So you're gonna run into those common problems, and the best way to avoid them is to just, as you use QCS, start to just become familiar where its strengths are and where it may not be the right product. So you don't try to use it on something that you get frustrated with. So you wanna look at it and say, listen, I know this is not gonna be the right application, so I'm not gonna waste the product here. I'm gonna use something maybe a little harsher and be a little more safe, get the gloves and the respirator and all the stuff, and know that you have to be a little more cautious with those products. But then in the cases that you can use QCS, it'll hit a home run for you and do really well. So that's a big one for the common issues that you'll run into. And that's pretty much the one we're asked the most, is kind of it's not working or it is working in ways that you were hoping for something different. So I'd be just aware of where its strengths are and where it's not strong, and just make a good judgment call there. But those are kind of the two big ones that we find a lot of people asking us about. But maybe you have other questions, feel free to email those to us and we'll kind of add them to this ongoing list. And hopefully it'll help other people too when we answer them.